just make a couple more brief comments before I turn it back over to Mr. Williams. We are, it's about 10 years difference in my age and theirs. I'm 35 and they're 24. And a lot of my friends are dying as well. Just this year, Officer Stephen Green that was killed in the city of Mobile, the police officer, he lived 2 doors from me. We grew up together, we played football together, we did everything together. We graduated from Blunt High School together. A little time after, Marcus Cassidy, my wife's cousin, was killed. Mark went to Blunt with me, my friend. A little time later, Robert Savage was killed directly in front of my mother's house. Robert worked on my campaign. He was a good friend of mine. Robert was one of the ones, he kind of got in trouble sometimes, but I always visited him, stuck with him. You know, when he graduated from the SAP program up in Atmore, he was just so proud to look up and see my face, almost like a kindergartner would look up and see their parent face at school, because he was so proud of the accomplishment. And when he made it back out here to the street, he was gunned down. That kind of stuff keeps happening. And it bothered me when someone said, well, what's going to happen after the march, young folks? What y'all going to do next? But the problem that I saw was their friends are dying from old age, but our friends are getting killed day in and day out. We're going to funerals week in and week out, and what the problem is, it seems like nobody cares. The reason why I got involved was because they felt like nobody cared. That's the only reason why I got involved. The reason why my phone rung was because they felt like nobody cared. Now you tell me what's the best way to channel youth energy. If you have some angry young men that's fed up about what's going on in their community, what would you rather for them to be doing right now? Would you rather for them to be here, or trying to solve these crimes on their own, or lashing out in different ways? Because what was about to happen was you was going to have people that had anger built up inside of them start lashing out at people that they thought was against them because they felt like they was left all alone. At some point, our youth is going to have to know that we love them. Yes. At some point, they're going to have to know that they're not out here by themselves. Y'all are not out here by yourselves. That's right. They need to know that. We need to do what we can to bring more jobs here for our youth. We need to do what we can to get our youth off of the different substances that we're on, whether it's alcohol or drug abuse or whatever the case may be. We need to step up and help these young mothers that's raising these kids by themselves, because what we're doing is creating a vicious cycle. And we're talking about a generation, Quinn mentioned earlier that we're talking about a generation that they feel like they're almost lost. But it's our responsibility to get them back on track. It's our responsibility to make sure that they're not lost. If nothing else come out of this today, but for one person to change and say, I'm not going to do this anymore, I'm not going to pick up the gun no more, we have to figure out a better way to solve our problem. And that's what we have to do. Now what happened to Kaylin, it was very disturbing to me. I stay on Montgomery Street, right where we started with the march. My wife was taking our oldest daughter to Little Caesars to pick up her check in Chickasaw. I had our little baby, she's holding Camille, 9 months, and Troy's holding Brooklyn, 4 years old. We was inside of the house, I was feeding my daughters. Guess what happened? I could hear gunfire from my house, from where I live, right down the street. I heard the guns that gunned down Kaylin at my house. That bothers me, because just like Quinn just mentioned, it wasn't even for Kaylin. Innocent people are getting killed behind this senseless violence. It could have been me. It could have been my baby. It could have been any of y'all. We're going to have to stop this. One of the problems that I think we have is with our community, people feel like they can come inside of our community and do whatever they want to do, and they can hide within the walls of our community. That gotta stop. We're gonna have to develop a zero tolerance for this type of crime in our community. You cannot kill my neighbor and hide at my house. It's not gonna work. We're going to have to get to the point where we respect each other and love each other as neighbors again, where we can become that village again, because we have absent fathers in our communities where I can step in and help out with my neighbor's child, and the minister at the church can step in and start going to visit the schools and visit the principals and the teachers. We have to get back there, because these young girls cannot raise these children by themselves. And we're going to have to stop saying, well, that's my friend's grandson that's out there on the corner selling dope, so I'm not going to turn him in. Or that's my friend's child that shot that boy. We all know who committing these crimes. Within our community, we know who committing these crimes. But we're not turning them in. We're not turning them in. I'm looking through this audience. I see people like Miss Holyfield out here that fought for justice for Jettis. Fought for it. Because people would not step up to the plate. The people in the community knew what was going on and would not step up to the plate. That happens too much where we live. And we're going to have to stop. We're going to have to get to the point where we just totally fed up and tired of what's going on in our neighborhood. It bothers me that God made all of us in his image. And that means that we all have the right to everything that anybody else has. But we feel like we have to live in poverty, or we feel like we have to live a certain way, or we have to live with crime in our community, but they can live a different way. It don't have to be like that.
That's right.
Because things that go on in their community, they don't put up with that, what we're allowing to happen in our community. And that's why we have that difference. We can change our communities from within. It's not about any elected official. It's not about that. We can change it from within our own homes. We can take back our communities, and we can stop the things that's going on right there in our own community. We can make it safe for our kids to go outside and play in our community. It's not just the police department's responsibility to do what's right for our community. It's our responsibility. But so many times we turn our heads and we turn a deaf ear to what's happening, or we didn't see what happened. We didn't see anything. Somebody break in your car, you go to your neighbors, nobody saw nothing, but they sit on the porch all day, every day. It happens all the time, and that kind of stuff has to stop. When Robert was killed in front of my house, in front of my mama's house, back in March, nobody saw anything. And it's not a time you can ride down that street right now, and I guarantee you 2 or 3 different houses will have at least 6 people on the porch. It don't matter what time of day or night, they always got somebody on the porch. But for this situation, nobody saw nothing. And at some point, we're going to have to stop, or we're going to continue to bury our young people. And that has to stop. We talk about life expectancy. Let's think about, what's the life expectancy of a black male in Pritchard? What's the life expectancy of a black male right here in Pritchard? My friends don't make it to 40. Theirs look like not making it to 25. So what are we going to do about it? It's up to us. We're not going to lean and depend on nobody else to change what's going on inside of our communities but us. Can y'all help me with that?
Yes.
Is that something that y'all think we could do?
Yes, we can.
Do y'all really believe that we can have better communities? Do y'all believe that? Do y'all believe that our communities could be just as safe as their communities? Do y'all actually believe that? Do y'all believe that people should not be selling drugs? Do you believe people should not have the right to sell drugs in front of your house? Do you believe that? Do you believe that people should not be walking around with AK-47s on the streets in front of your house? Do you believe that? Do you believe it? Because I can't hear you. I want to know, do you believe that people should not have the right to walk around with machine guns on the street in front of your house. We're not talking about people that's carrying guns to protect their families. We're talking about machine guns. The last 2 people killed in the city of Pritchard, automatic weapons, AK-47. Have you ever heard the little packs of firecrackers that's all together, and when you light them, how all you hear is like that? That was the sound that killed Caleb. When you driving a car, shooting a gun like that, careless, reckless, and that's the sound that killed him. Crystal, I know you heard it. She was right there. She heard it. She lived across the street from me. But I'm pledging right now, when I go back to session, I'm going to sponsor a bill to make it a capital crime to kill somebody with an automatic weapon. Off the bat, it's going to be a capital crime. We're going to have consequences for these things. And not only that, but we're going to have stiffer penalties for people that's out on probation that's committing these crimes. You can't think you can go to jail and go to prison and come out on probation and you're going to continue to do the same thing. I would not be a prisoner inside of my house. My family would not be prisoners inside of our house. You don't deserve to be prisoners inside of your house. And we need to take our communities back. We don't need to depend on nobody else to do it. It's our responsibility. It's where we live. Our parents work for their homes. They can't move nowhere else. Who's going to do it? We got to step up to the plate and take our communities back. My mama is 78 years old. She can't move nowhere. It's my responsibility to keep her safe. It's my responsibility. It's our neighbor's responsibility to look out for her as we look out for the other lady that's 90 that lives next door to her.
Amen.
Because they scared to go to the store because our stores are not community stores anymore because riffraff want to hang in front of our stores and sell dope in front of our stores and arrest us for our own spare change where we went to work all day for it and they want to hang in front of the stores. Now my mama, your grandmama, they can't even go and get bread from the store anymore. Community stores that's walking distance from our home. But guess what? We let it happen.
We let it happen.
We did. We turned our backs and we turned our heads just like it was okay. Because that was my friend's son. It started there. It was small. It was a small problem. Now it's growing. Now it gets to the point where it's out of control and we go looking at the chief saying, well, chief, what are you going to do about it? No, what are you going to do about it?
Amen.
What am I going to do about it?
Oh my goodness.
It's our community. The chief can do no more than what we allow him to do. The police can do no more than what we allow them to do. When crimes are committed and we see nothing, do we think that helps the police department? It don't help the police department. There it is. You wonder why we have so many unsolved murders in our city. And why people from other cities feel like they can come here and commit crimes because we're not going to tell on them. It ain't snitching. It's protecting what's ours. But that no snitch culture has everybody feeling like, I'm not going to tell. I'm not going to be a snitch. I'm not going to be labeled as a rat. You're no rat. You're protecting my family. You're protecting your family. You're protecting your neighbor, your church member. Because guess what? It was Caleb. It was Josh. It was Steve. It was Robert. It was Miss Collins. But we could be having a rally next week for one of us out here. We're going to have to get a little bit more serious about what's going on in our community. And we're going to have to get totally fed up with allowing these types of things to happen in our neighborhood. Who with me? Anybody with me? Anybody with me? Can we make that difference? Can we make that change? Can we do it? Y'all believe we can do it? Clap loud. Y'all believe we can do it? Do you really believe that we can make a difference where we live? Do you really believe it? Do you really believe people should not be selling dope in front of your house? Do you believe it? Do you believe that people should not be getting killed in front of your house? Do you believe it?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
Tell them.
Thank y'all so much. Let's do it.